There is a decision that more people get wrong than any other financial decision they will ever make. Not because they lack information. Not because they lack discipline. Not even because they lack money. Because nobody ever explained to them what waiting actually costs. Not in theory. Not in percentages. In real numbers. In real years. In real life. And by the time most people understand it, it is already expensive to fix. 2 people. Same salary. Same country. Same starting point. The first person starts investing at $25. $200 a month. Every month. Without fail. They do this for 10 years, then they stop. At 35, they never invest another cent. The second person waits until 35 to begin. $200 a month. Every month. Without fail. They do this for 30 years, all the way to 65. At 65, who has more? The person who started at 25 and never invested again after 35. The person who invested for 10 years beats the person who invested for 30 years. Not by a little. By more than $50,000. That is not a trick. That is not a financial product being sold to you. That is compound interest. And it is the most important financial concept that almost nobody fully understands, until it is too late to use it the way it was designed to be used. Let us start with a precise definition. Compound interest is interest earned, not just on the money you put in, but on the interest that money has already earned. Simple interest gives you the same return every year. Compound interest gives you a bigger return every year, because last year's return is now also working for you. Here is what that looks like in real numbers. You invest 1,000 Rand. It earned 7% in year 1. You now have 1,070 Rand. In year 2, you earn 7% again. But now you earn it on 1,070, not on the original 1,000. Your return just grew, without you doing anything. At year 10, that original 1,000 Rand is worth 1,967 Rand. At year 20, 3,869. At year 30, 7,612 Rand. You put in 1,000. You ended up with 7,600. Without touching it. Without adding a cent. Just time. That is the mechanism. And the mechanism has one requirement above all others. Time. Not more money. Not better investments. Not more discipline. Time. And time is the only ingredient in this formula that you cannot buy back. Here is the number that changes everything for most people. According to data from Fiduciant Advisors, a $10,000 investment, earning 7% annually, grows to approximately 76,000 Rand over 30 years. Wait just 5 years to invest that same amount, and you end up with 53,000 Rand. 5 years of waiting cost you 22,000 Rand. And that is not the cost of spending it. That is not the cost of losing it. That is the cost of waiting. Of doing nothing with it. Of telling yourself, not yet. Now look at what the retirement data shows. About 3 in 5 retirees, 59%, did not start saving for retirement until their 30s or older. About 1/3 waited until their 40s or older. And 13% never started saving at all. 70% of retirees say they wish they had started saving earlier. 70%. After it is already over. After the time is already spent. A Bankrate survey of 2024 found that 56% of workers say they are behind where they should be on their retirement savings. Only 15% feel ahead. And when researchers asked the workers who felt behind what their greatest financial regret was, not starting earlier topped the list. Not a bad investment. Not a poor financial decision. Not starting earlier. So the data is clear. The cost of waiting is measured in decades, not dollars. And the regret, when it comes, is not about losing money. It is about losing time. So why do people wait? Because knowing the cost of waiting and actually starting are two completely different things. The first reason: they are waiting until they earn more. When I get the promotion, when I finish paying off the debt, when the salary improves. The problem is that when the salary improves, the lifestyle improves with it. And the excuse moves with the income. The research calls this lifestyle inflation. And it catches almost everyone. The second reason: they do not know where to start. Investing feels complicated. There are too many options. Too many opinions. Too many people saying different things. So they do nothing, while they wait to understand everything. And here is the problem with that. The most important variable in the compound equation is not the right investment. It is time. A modest investment started early beats a perfect investment started late. Every time. The third reason: they believe they have already missed the window. 30 arrives. And the thought is, it is already too late. I should have started at 25. Now there is no point. This is the most expensive belief in personal finance. Because the second best time to start is always right now. At 30, you still have 35 years. At 40, you still have 25 years. And 25 years of compounding is still a significant amount of time. The fourth reason: financial trauma. We covered this in video 5. The nervous system that learned to fear money does not respond well to financial planning. The avoidance. The paralysis. The feeling that getting close to the numbers means danger. This is real. And it is addressed, not with more discipline, but with what we talked about in video 5. The fifth reason: they are carrying too much debt to invest. And this one has a genuine answer, which depends entirely on the interest rate of the debt. If your debt charges more interest than your investment earns, paying the debt down first is mathematically correct. If your investment earns more than your debt charges, doing both simultaneously is mathematically correct. The exact answer depends on your specific numbers. But the principle is this: not all debt justifies waiting. Understanding compound interest is one thing. Using it is another. There are 3 decisions that determine how powerfully compound interest works in your life. The first decision: how often you invest. Compound interest rewards consistency above everything else. 200 Rand a month, every month, for 30 years, at 8% annual return, gives you approximately 272,000 Rand. You put in 72,000 Rand over those 30 years. The other 200,000 Rand came from the compounding. Not from you. From time. The second decision: reinvesting your returns. When your investment earns a dividend or generates a return, the question is whether you spend it or put it back in. The investor who reinvests their returns versus the investor who spends them end up at completely different places starting from the same point. Every return you spend is a return that will never compound. The third decision: leaving it alone. This is the one that costs people the most. The market drops 20%. And the instinct is to pull out. To protect what is there. But pulling out resets the compound clock. When you sell during a downturn, you lock in the loss and you miss the recovery. And historically, markets recover. Not immediately. Not without pain. But they recover. Warren Buffett, the clearest living example of compound interest at work, built 97% of his wealth after the age of 65. Not because he invested more at 65. Because he had been compounding since he was 11 years old. The wealth was not built by genius. It was built by time. 54 years of uninterrupted compounding. This video is not going to tell you exactly where to invest. Because the right answer depends on your country, your tax situation, your income, your existing debt. What this video is going to give you is a direction. The first step. Know your number. Not your investment target. Your starting number. What can you genuinely put away every month without damaging your ability to pay your bills? It does not have to be large. The research on compound interest is clear. What matters most is not the size of the contribution. It is the consistency and the time. The second step. Make it automatic. The single most effective behavioral strategy in personal finance research is removing the decision from the equation. When the money moves automatically, before you see it in your account, the lifestyle cannot inflate to fill it. Automate the investment. And stop relying on willpower to do what a scheduled debit can do instead. Let us come back to the person at the beginning. The one who was waiting. Waiting for the salary to improve. Waiting to understand it better. Waiting for a more stable moment. The stable moment is a myth. There is no month in which everything is settled. There is no year in which the timing is perfect. There is only the decision, made now, or delayed again. And every delay is not neutral. Every delay is compounding, in reverse. The person who starts today, and invests modestly, and stays consistent, and leaves it alone, will end up in a different place than the person who waits for certainty that never arrives. Not because of luck. Not because of skill. Because of time. Across 7 videos now, we have followed the money from the beginning. From the psychology of why poor people stay poor, to the emotional reason spending feels compulsive, to the weight of the black tax, to the architecture of the racial wealth gap, to the invisible wound of financial trauma, to the money conversation your family never had, and now, to the mechanism that builds wealth quietly, over decades, for anyone who gives it enough time. The map is almost complete. In the next video, we are going to talk about the thing that sits between you and everything we have discussed. Not market conditions. Not government policy. Not your income. Your budget. Not the budget you have tried and abandoned. The budget that is built around how you actually think and feel about money, not how a spreadsheet thinks you should. We are going to call it the budget that actually works. If this video helped you see something more clearly, share it with one person who needs to hear it. That is how this information travels. We will see you in the next one.